Now let's talk about the next technique. So when we do the forehand flick, many friends, let me show you an incorrect demonstration. Do an incorrect demonstration. Many friends want to apply force. But how do they apply it? Did you see that? They just want to power Always flick. Thinking about smashing it. What is the problem here? It's still the old problem, the old bad habit. Same as the old habit with the long Still push. Loving to rely on the wrist for power. Our long push isn't like that. The first feeling we need to learn for the flick. Its framework is to first learn what? First, learn to push. Find the feeling of flicking during the process of pushing. Come, I'll do a demonstration for you all. When I am flicking, look, you first need to find a feeling of the forearm, leading the upper arm, pushing out towards the front. You must first make the ball go forward. During the pushing process, what problem should everyone pay attention to? Many friends are not pushing. What are they doing? They are contracting, pulling back. Why do they contract? Because in their concept, they feel that for the forehand. My normal loop comes from here, going up. My normal loop goes forward and upward. Contracting the forearm like this, right? Then they think, hey, for a short ball, I want to flick. They feel it's just a shrunken, miniature version of the forehand motion. Alright then, they try to do a miniature version. Since they can't take a big backswing anyway, they can only contract it inside the table. Then it becomes like this. So many friends' flicks are like this. I've seen it a lot, sigh. It completely relies on contracting the forearm forward to apply force. If you apply force like this, you will never generate real power. Do you know why a forehand from mid-distance and mid to long distance when applying force must contract? That's because the overall power of the forehand comes from the legs, waist, and hips, pushing the power out, including the upper arm, pushing its power out. But if I only have this pushing out, look at what happens to this power. The power is huge. But the ball FLIs off. The ball goes out of bounds, right? Why does it go out? Because there's no contraction. The main purpose of this contraction is to make this power more concentrated. To put it plainly, it prevents the ball from going out of bounds. Doesn't that mean the ball effectively becomes shorter? We can directly understand that the purpose of contraction is to make the ball's trajectory shorter. If I push straight forward, it goes deep to the baseline very long. But if I immediately contract it, look. See that? The direction of contraction goes up towards the head. It goes very high upwards. And the more I contract, look, the less likely the ball clears the net. Did you see? The more I contract, the shorter the ball is. Therefore, for our power generation, we must first find the feeling of pushing. You must first be able to push the ball long. Based on pushing it long, then you find the flick. So the first step in your training, look, see that? First, find the forward push. I don't demand high quality. I just need to be able to push the ball out first. When every ball you push out, what can you feel? Every time I use the racket to strike the ball, the strike feels very solid, and the force of the pushed ball is very pure, very straight, and relatively long. Then the foundational framework of your flick will finally be established. And if you want to push, there is another prerequisite. What is it? It's that when we are at the moment of contacting the ball, what should the racket angle be? Okay, regarding this racket angle, from preparation to stepping in, what am I adjusting? I am adjusting my racket face. My racket face during preparation is like this. I might have the edge of the racket facing everyone. But when I step in, I must actively and deliberately open my wrist, look towards where? Towards the back and downward, open it back and down, including penhold friends. It's the same. When stepping in, open it backward and downward. You'll then notice that your racket tip is now pointing towards your bottom right, pointing in this direction. Everyone look. When you prepare, your racket being in this direction is correct. Shake hand grip is the same. Penhold grip is also the same. If you can point the racket tip outward and downward, then your preparation is done right. Only when you have the racket face set right. Look, isn't it true that only then can you use your racket, the flat front side, to strike this ball? Because when you are pushing, it's striking, plus pushing. Only then can this ball go forward. If when I take my backswing, my racket face is not opened up like this, but in a closed state, everyone can see what kind of consequence it causes. Everyone, look, if I flick like this, where is the problem here? Friends, you see, as long as my racket face is tilted slightly forward, slightly closed, then when I go to contact the ball, everyone, look, Where am I contacting the ball? Isn't it on the upper back part of the ball? If it's the upper back, then what does this indicate? It means when I am flicking, it's all friction on the ball. My strike is not very pure. Only when my racket face is open. Learning to use the center of the racket to hit the ball can it be called a solid strike. If I close the racket and hook my wrist to flick, then at the moment I apply force. It's just using the forearm and wrist to brush the ball to cause friction. Your shot quality simply won't come out right once you contract. The trajectory becomes shorter. So we must pay attention to two prerequisites. First, the racket face must be open. Rely on the forearm and upper arm to first push the ball straight forward. First, establish that your preparation is correct. The motion trajectory is correct. Once you have 2 points, basically, let me use the penhold grip to flick a couple. Look, right? You basically have the basic prototype. Look, it's already there. Look, open up. Push forward, open up. Push forward, come on, open up. Push forward. Right? Okay. Once you have this prototype, how do you then, from within this flick, improve our shot quality? Because everyone knows, under normal circumstances, if you produce this kind of quality flick in a match, it is completely insufficient. So if we want to apply power, shouldn't everyone know? We must use the fingers and wrist to generate power. When practicing finger and wrist power, what is one thing you must pay attention to? That is, this wrist must be based on this overall framework of pushing from back to front. Under the condition that this framework is not altered, I can utilize my wrist to apply force. That is to say, we cannot let the power generation of the wrist cause our overall back to front pushing motion to deform. Let me show you first, show an incorrect demonstration. Pushing perfectly fine initially. This is correct, right? Pushing perfectly fine. But the moment you apply power, it becomes like this. Did you see? That wrist whips outrageously, and your entire pushing motion is completely gone. This is absolutely not needed. We must find the flick based on the foundation of pushing, meaning this power generation from your fingers and wrist must be a gradual, step-by-step process. Every time you apply force, you can ensure that the motion doesn't deform. Look, when first learning, I won't use power right now. Just push stably gradually. I add a bit of speed with my wrist. Keeping adding a little speed, slightly. Good, add a bit more speed. Once proficient, add even more speed. Add a bit more speed. Right now I am applying force, and my motion doesn't deform. My motion framework has already been fixed accurately. Your motion framework itself might just barely been corrected. So don't be too eager for success to apply power. Using fingers and wrist is correct, no doubt, but you can't, because of using fingers and wrist, change the motion framework, fixed by your forearm, upper arm, and elbow joint. Change it. Understood, friends? This is what you need during the process of flicking to pay attention to. This issue of power generation must also be back to front power. Your wrist is controlling a gradual, continuous application rather than being light initially, and then suddenly whipping this wrist to power flick. That would ruin things, okay? Come, now I will demonstrate this for everyone again. Demonstrate a few more flicks. Look, basically, flick slowly. Fix the motion framework, continuously at a bit of speed. Look, add a bit of speed. Add a bit of speed. Add speed. Look, everyone look. Later on, I am making the quality of each ball higher. Why am I not missing? Not missing the ball. It's precisely I have found every single hitting point accurately. Every single motion framework of mine is correct. Then applying power with my wrist is completely fine. Okay, now let's use pen hold to flick a couple. Let's see. First find the point, push forward. Point, push, find a good hitting point and execute. Hitting point, execute. Hitting point, execute. Hitting point, accelerate. One more time, hitting point, accelerate. This is the essence of the flick. Everyone doesn't need to imitate someone else's motion. As long as your motion can find a way to bring the hand in, push from back to front. This motion is correct. Everyone's motion is different. Don't feel that your motion must be wrong. And that's so and so's is the only right one. As long as it feels comfortable for you and the direction is correct. Power generation feeling is right. The hitting point is right. Then your motion is correct. An opponent, when finding a partner to practice this flick with, is it better to have the partner feed a no-spin ball or feed some kind of topspin ball? Everyone remember, you must start practicing with no spin balls. Because with no spin balls, everyone look. This ball has no topspin. It has no spin. What is the concept of topspin? A topspin ball coming over will kick forward, surge forward. So if the ball surges forward, everyone look, when I am flicking, you will be affected by the ball's incoming rushing force. which can easily cause your motion to deform, and it affects your grasp of the hitting point and your training. But this no spin ball coming over is very slow, and it doesn't rush forward. We are much better able to actively pause. Did you see? Only when you pause can you flick. If the opponent feeds it fast, you won't find that feeling of pausing, and your rhythm will be dragged by this topspin ball. As soon as it bounces, you have to flick up. As soon as it bounces, it becomes like this. Then in a match, when someone serves you a no spin ball, or serves a ball that is relatively light, or a weak backspin, when you try to flick, you'll find, hey, why is my rhythm so fast? Because you are used to practicing where you flick as soon as it bounces. Now when you need to be slow, you can't slow down. Therefore, for rhythm training, you must first practice slowly and gradually, slowly speed it up. You shouldn't practice fast first. If you want to practice the forehand flick, just have your partner feed you this. Just like this, see? You can't borrow any force at all. Only when you can't borrow force can you practice actively generating power. If you borrow too much force, you end up not learning anything. Okay, so what are we going to talk about now? Let's talk about the backhand banana flick. We'll give everyone a brief overview of the basic framework because first. This backhand flick process is relatively more complex. First of all, still legs and center of gravity. Because, why? For the backhand banana flick, either I don't flick, or if I do, it must have high quality. Because flicking is different from pushing. Pushing can be considered a transition, but we can't always use the flick just as a transition. If we flick, the quality must be there. So where does the quality of this flick come from? What does it mainly rely on? It mainly relies on our chest, including our abdomen and our elbow, forearm, fingers, and wrist forming a combined force. Good. Since that's the case, everyone will realize that this flicking technique, in terms of the legs, doesn't really use much force from them, so it is mainly concentrated in our upper body. Therefore, if we want to use the upper body well, then when stepping in, you must learn to make sure our upper body can what? Lean and get over the table. Everyone, look, the reason many friends can't generate power on the backhand is that when they flick, they simply don't get in over the ball. Let me show you a demonstration. Backhand, the person doesn't lean in, the body doesn't come in. Which is what many professional coaches call your body isn't wrapping the ball. Look. Flicking entirely like this. See that? The consistency of flicking like this is actually very low. Look, my upper body didn't come in. Now let me change to another way to flick. I lean in. Did you see? See that? I lean in. Did you notice? The quality of the ball I flick now is higher than just now. Why? Just now, my body didn't lean in. I was just using my fingers, wrist, and forearm, right? Now that I've leaned in, what am I utilizing? Besides the power in my hand, I also have my abdomen. Chest expanding outward, see? The power from pushing the abdomen. So its quality is high, and its consistency will also be high. This is first point. So when everyone steps in, you must pay attention to bringing your center of gravity forward with the ball. The table is blocking right here. Your feet actually can't step in very deep. You only take a small step. The rest relies on the upper body leaning in. If your upper body doesn't lean in, your leg work won't be good either. If you only use your legs without your center of gravity still doesn't get in. Plus upper body, with the upper body being the core. Okay, now let's talk about this. How to store power. We want to bring out overall quality, right? Including many friends who flick. A few reasons why you can't generate power. Most of it is being misled by Zhang Jike's overlord flick. Misled? How? You think Jike flicks well because you feel his wrist power is just too huge, right? First of all, Zhang Jike is human. You can also call him a god, but he can't be a monster, right? His normal human power definitely has limits. Why is his quality so high? It's not just because of wrist power that his quality is high. It's because his timing, his combined force, is coordinated well. So what should we do? When flicking, you must think about when storing power. You must add your body's power plus this forearm's power must be loaded in. Because the biggest power source, the legs, is already gone. Therefore, the forearm is absolutely a part that cannot be ignored. To utilize the forearm, I'll teach everyone to words. Number one is prop elbow. I believe right now many friends will surely argue, saying, I saw Tomokazu Haramoto's backhand flick. He doesn't prop his elbow at all. He doesn't prop his elbow at all. He just comes up and flicks like this, right? Then you need to look at what kind of balls Haramoto flicks. He only flicks when the opponent serves side spin. Look, if the opponent serves something slightly side backspin, does he still dare to flick like that? He doesn't dare. To do it, he has to start propping his elbow again.